Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Skyrim. Last time, we fought our first wisps and cleared out the ruins of Rakund. Today, we're going to tackle another very small spot, Crystaldrift Cave. We have a few short, easy locations leading up to one of the biggest, craziest ones in the game, which will happen, a couple of times. Let's go handle Skyrim. I believe that's everything. Let's heal up. The place should already be cleared. It is. I will make note of that. What do we have here? Mushrooms. Shrine of Kinnereth. Well, that's interesting. Several mushrooms. Some food. More food. A lot of grilled leeks. An obvious camp. More uncooked leeks and carrots. Ears hanging over here. Dishes, ingredients, an unlocked chest. Over here, another mushroom, an iron ore vein. I believe I missed something in or around the camp. There's a Shrine of Kinnereth, there's a cooking pot, and there's supposed to be a book. I have to make sure it didn't find its way somewhere else in the cave. Continue getting dragon's tongues and mushrooms. Save that center column for last. It's obviously the highlight of this particular cave. Go back up here where that skeever was hanging out. We've got more mushrooms and a moonstone vein. Skill book. It's supposed to be somewhere around here. Oh. It's on him. Yes, there it is. So, we have Mystery of Talara V2, which is a new restoration skill book. Restoration to 71. Beautiful. Let me take that off my book list. And if I go to free skill boosts, I now have 3 restoration boosts remaining, 2 skill books to find, and 1 quest. The Mystery of Princess Talara Part 2 by Mira Lyketh. She felt nothing, darkness enveloping her body and mind. Pain surged through her leg, and with that sensation a great feeling of cold washed over her. She opened her eyes and saw that she was drowning. Her left leg would not move at all, but using her right one and her arms, she pulled herself up toward the moons above. It was a long way through the swirling currents that wrenched back at her. At last she broke the surface and sucked in the cold night air. She was still close to the rocky shoreline of the capital city of the kingdom of Camlorn, but the water had carried her quite a ways from the point where she fell at Cabalsteer Rock. Not fell, she thought, correcting herself. She had been pushed. Further down current, she allowed herself to drift. There the steep cliff walls sloped lower until they were close to the water's edge. The silhouette of a large house on the shore loomed ahead, and as she neared it, she could see smoke rising from the chimney and the flicker of firelight within. The pain in her leg was great, but greater still was the chill of the water. The thought of a warm hearth fire was all the motivation she needed to begin swimming again. At the shore's edge, she tried to stand, but found she couldn't. Her tears mixed with the seawater as she began to crawl across the sand and rock. The simple white sheet which had been her costume at the flower festival was tattered, and felt like a weight of lead across her back. Beyond the point of exhaustion, she fell forward and began to sob. "Please," she cried, "if you can hear me, please help." A moment later, the door to the house opened and a woman stepped out. It was Ramke, the old lady she had met at the flower festival, the one who had started and cried, "It's her," even before she herself knew who she was. By contrast, when the old woman came to her, this time there was no glimmer of recognition in her eyes. "By Sethiete, are you hurt?" Ramke whispered, and helped her up, acting as her crutch. "I've seen that gown before. Were you one of the dancers at the flower festival tonight? I was there with Lady Gilia Reyes, the daughter of the king." "I know, she introduced us," she groaned. "I called myself Jaina of Daggerfall. Of course, I knew you looked familiar somehow," the old woman chuckled, and led her hop by hop across the beach and into the front door. "My memory isn't as good as it used to be. Let's get you warm and have a look at that leg." Ramke took Jaina's soaking rags and covered her with a blanket as she sat at the fire. As the numbness of the chill water began to leave her, it cruelly abandoned her to the intense agony of her leg. Until then, she had not dared to look at it. When she did, she felt vomit rise at the sight of the deep gash, fish-white dead flesh, plump and swollen. Thick arterial blood bubbled up, splashing on the floor in streams. "Oh dear," said the old woman, returning to the fire. "That must rather sting. You're lucky that I still remember a little of the old healing spells." Ramke seated herself on the floor and pressed her hands on either side of the wound. Jaina felt a flare of pain and then a cool, soft pinching and prickle. When she looked down, Ramke was slowly sliding her wrinkled hands towards one another. At their approach, the lesion began to mend before her eyes, flesh binding and bruises fading. "Sweet Kinnereth," Jaina gasped, "you've saved my life. Not only that, you won't have an ugly scar on your pretty leg," Ramke chuckled. "I had to use that spell so many times when Lady Gilia was little. You know I was her nursemaid." "I know," Jaina smiled. "But that was a long time ago, and you still remember the spell. Oh, when you're learning anything, even the School of Restoration, there's always a lot of study and mistakes. But once you're as old as I am, there's no longer any need to remember things. You just know. After all, I've probably cast it 1,000 times before. Little Lady Gilia and the little Princess Talara was always getting cut and bruised. Small wonder the way they was always climbing all over the palace." Jaina sighed. "You must have loved Lady Gilia very much." "I still do," Ramke beamed. "But now she's all grown and things are different. You know, I didn't notice it before because you were all wet from the sea, but you look very much like my lady. Did I mention that before when we met at the festival?" "You did," said Jaina. "Or rather, I think you thought I looked like Princess Talara." "Oh, it would be so wonderful if you were the princess returned," the old woman gasped. "You know, when the former royal family was killed, and everyone said the princess was killed, though we never found the body, I think the real victim was Lady Gilia. Her little heart just broke, and for a while it looked like her mind did too." "What do you mean?" asked Jaina. "What happened?" "I don't know if I should tell a stranger this, but it's fairly well known in Camlorn, and I really feel like I know you." Ramke struggled with her conscience and then released. "Gilia saw the assassination, you see. I found her afterwards, hiding in that terrible blood-stained throne room, and she was like a little broken doll. She wouldn't speak, she wouldn't eat. I tried all my healing spells, but it was quite beyond my power. So much more than a straight Denis. Her father, who was then Duke of Aloyne, sent her to a sanitarium in the country to get well. That poor little girl, cried Jaina. It took her years to be herself again, said Ramke, nodding, and in truth she never really returned altogether. You wonder why her father, when he was made king, didn't make her his heir? He thought that she was still not exactly right, and in a way, as much as I would deny it, he's correct to think so. She remembered nothing, nothing at all. Do you think, Jaina considered her words carefully, that she would be better if she knew that her cousin, the Princess Talara, was alive and well? Ramke considered it. I think so, but maybe not. Sometimes it's best not to hope. Jaina stood up, finding her leg to be as strong as it looked to be. Her gown had dried, and Ramke gave her a cloak, insisting she protect herself against the cold night air. At the door, Jaina kissed the old woman's cheek and thanked her, not only for the healing spell and for the cloak, but for everything else of kindness she had ever done. The road close to the house went north and south. To the left was the way back to Camlorn, where secrets lay to which she alone held the key. To the south was Daggerfall, her home for more than 20 years. She could return there, back to her profession on the streets, very easily. For a few seconds she considered her options, and then made her choice. She had not been walking for very long, when a black carriage drawn by 3 horses bearing the imperial seal, together with 8 mounted horses, passed her. Before it rounded the wooded pass ahead, it stopped suddenly. She recognized one of the soldiers as Norbuth, Lord Strail's manservant. The door opened, and Lord Strail himself, the Emperor's ambassador, the man who had hired her and all the other women to entertain at court, stepped out. You, he frowned. You're one of the prostitutes, aren't you? You're the one who disappeared during the flower festival? Jaina, am I right? All that is true, she smiled sourly. Except my name, I've discovered, is not Jaina. I don't care what it is, said Lord Strail. What are you doing on the South Road? I paid for you to stay and make the kingdom merry. If I went back to Camlorn, there are a great many who wouldn't be merry at all. Explain yourself, said Lord Strail. So she did, and he listened. And the last thing we have here, you'll notice this guy is named Gadnor, and we get another unique item, Gadnor's Staff of Charming. Creatures and people up to level 4 will attack anything nearby for 60 seconds. So I guess he's a follower of Kinnereth, made himself a staff, didn't quite get the enchantment right, got himself killed. Alright. Well, that is it for this joint. Let's do our usual bit. Thieves Guild first, then Lakeview, and then we'll call it a video.
Back from a job, huh? Welcome to the cozy usual guild rate. Let's take a look at them.
Don't look like much to me.
Alright, well, let's offload everything here. Except we want to keep the Staff of Charming. Let's go to Lakeview with me. All
Until
right.
next time.
How easy was that? Pretty darn easy is the answer.
Want to talk?
What's that?
Let's jump over to Lakeview Manor. There are enemies nearby. Looks like a vampire attack. Indeed, there is a vampire attack going on. I need to get here quickly or people are gonna die. And then, if people do die, I need to make sure they're people that keep alive for any reason. Let's get over here.
I cannot rescue
Who or what is hitting us?
Not like this.
You've been a good friend to me. That means something.
Right. Let's check on the body count.
Good friend.
Ah, you're back.
That means
What
something.
have you discovered?
Salaman performed miracles with steel, eh?
Is that magic?
Edda the Beggar is
Please.
dead. We already did her quest, so that's acceptable.
What happened?
Aaron is dead. That's acceptable. That dude's annoying. Bercy Honeyhand is dead. That's okay. Drifa will take over his store.
We need to do something about these
We have a dead thief over here,
vampire attacks.
unrelated to the vampires. Volwolf Snowshot is dead. Well, that is also acceptable. Although I don't particularly like it.
Oh, what happened?
My main concern is not to get locked out of any quests. It's a secondary concern to keep stores open, because there are typically alternatives. If that's all that happens, I think I can accept it. Now let's get Prawn open and offload all the stuff we just got.
Hello, welcome to the Pond Prawn. If there's anything you need, I'd be glad to help you. Good morning. Need something?
She doesn't want to talk about her dead husband.
Take a look.
Well, no poison resistance. She's got 8 goat horns, so we're gonna get those motherfuckers off the list, finally. I only need 6. Now I have all the goat horns I need. perhaps more importantly, I have everything I need for Hearthfire. Good! Now let's offload this other bullshit. And now we can head
Be
to
careful out
Lakeview.
there.
Riften can be dangerous. Fucking vampires. But no matter.
Honor to you, my Thane.
Papa, you're back. Could you give me an allowance?
Oh, sure. Sure, whatever you want. 1,000 gold?
You're the best. Thanks.
I'm rich enough to spoil my children now. So let's put the last 6 goat horns in there and can finally stop worrying about that shit. Now let's put Gadler's Staff of Charming in the chest upstairs with the other unique stuff.
It means so much to us. We have a cozy little prophet. Oh, a bit of this and a bit of that.
Still no poison resistance.
Goodbye, my love.
Let's check Lucia's dresser. Yes. Just a few little things to sell. Camilla's good for that.
Hello. Some may call this junk. Me, I call them treasures.
Alright.
Goodbye, my love.
Now let's head back to Crystaldrift Cave. And we'll end the video there. Next is another short one. You can see it there on the map. We've had it forever, since we read our first copy of An Explorer's Guide to Skyrim. And our next target is going to be the Shadowstone. Until then, this has been Let's Play Skyrim. Thank you very much for watching.